This is an MSP that has been around in our town for roughly 30 years, and they've got very established clients. Some of them are government clients. They have really good, long-standing relationships with them.
Okay.
Um, but their pricing, no one can match it. They're pricing roughly $30 to $60 a seat. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I mean, full disclosure, I used to work for them. Um, I know the quality of work they do is not up to par. It's very antiquated and outdated, the things they do. And I think it costs their clients money in the long term. I don't know. So I had a meeting with one of their clients. They're jumping ship because they changed their billing structure. They actually were one of my clients. I was their IT tech for 2 years, and I was so thrilled to meet with them, and it was great getting to see them all again. But the problem is the number of so they were paying. I'll give you some numbers here. They were paying $5,300 a month for almost 200 users for a full support contract, including data backup.
Okay.
If we were to do our per user cost, it would have been like 10 times that, because we're looking at like roughly $150 per seat.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know how to compete with that, and this would be a really good client. But I just don't know what to do with them being there. I mean, now to what you how you responded to Connie, um, I do know that I kind of have some inside knowledge of their revenue, and they probably will never grow past where they're at right now at that price point. But it just becomes a problem when they're just going and undercutting people, and they've been around for 30 years. And I was curious if you had some good strategies for dealing with people that, I mean, like if you get a quote for $5,300 and then you get a quote from us that's like $20,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
that's just such a gap, and it's going to be sticker shock for them.
Yeah. So I think one thing is markets are big. So, think about it this way too. They're going after a very price sensitive customer with that pricing because businesses know you get what mature business owners know you get what you pay for, right?
Right.
And so when somebody comes in really cheap, that's a red flag. It really is. I mean, so being really cheap is not always the advantage you think it is. Because I know maybe you've had the same experience, but on several occasions, I had a vendor who I was asking for a price on something, and they came in really cheap, and it instantly triggered in me, oh, that doesn't sound right. It's too cheap. Um, so I don't think being cheap it's an advantage and it's a disadvantage, as is higher prices is an advantage and a disadvantage, right? So there's no perfect solution. And I always feel when it comes to price, you're better off being I think you're better off being the most expensive, because a belief that is inherent with a lot of people is the more expensive something is, the more valuable it is. That's
Yeah.
why Rolex cost as much as they do. Rolls Royce cost as, in most people, they associate high quality with price. That's why we think of Walmart having cheap stuff, right? Like Bruce McCauley tells me, he goes to Walmart on Saturday and he buys Kobe beef, and I'm like, you're not buying Kobe beef, you're buying something that still has the jockey's whip marks on it. I don't know what are you sure it's real Kobe, or is it spelled Cobe, right? You know what I mean? Like there's a little it's from China or something, it's gotta, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're buying, but it's like instantly I would never think of going to Walmart to buy a premium steak, because it's just, you don't understand. So high price is not necessarily a negative. And if you're going to pick, I'd rather be the most expensive versus the cheapest, because the cheapest, you're always, then there's always somebody who's going to undercut you, because I guarantee you there's people undercutting them, right? So the middle is kind of the dangerous ground, because then you're Applebee's, right? You're not really the most expensive, you're not the cheapest. So I think it's just, what you have to do is to compete with them is go after the type of customer that is not looking for cheap, but wants to pay money to be compliant and secure, because there's no way that they're providing advanced cybersecurity and compliance at that price. There's just no way they can do it. And so what I would do is go after those higher tier customers who are not looking for cheap. They're looking for good, for quality, and they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really, really good point.
Yeah, don't let them
I'm
freak you
sitting
out.
here,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here scratching my head. Like, I don't want to badmouth them to a customer,
Yeah.
because I don't have anything against them. But I mean, I do know a project I was involved in. It was eye opening coming to my current company, seeing how much better we do things, how much more efficiently we do things, and just how out of date their processes were. I mean, like they did a project for a client that we could have done it in half the time and half the cost, because we do smarter things. You know, we use group policy, we use folder redirection, things like that, stuff they don't even look at. But I don't know how to communicate that to one of their current clients without it sounding like I'm slandering this company, and that's not a reputation I want to have.
No,
But I do know.
No, you're right. You don't want to, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And just so let me show you this. There's this report, what to pay for IT support. Maybe Debbie can grab it and one of the links and share it with you. So let me show you a couple things to think about. So in this report, which I just updated, right? Let me see here. Let me go to the, never ask an IT service company, what do you charge for services? Instead, make sure you ask what I get for the money and know what to look for and what to avoid. And this report, I think you will find to be extremely valuable, and you can send it in advance to prospects and strongly encourage them to please read this. Because if you are looking for an IT company, as you can see here, you'll see in my report, there's, like I have here, there's no such thing as standard pricing, even though most services appear to be the same. That's why it's impossible to compare IT providers on their fees alone. And this report, I'm going to explain that. There's a few dirty little secrets that cheaper IT firms use to make their fees appear less expensive, but actually end up putting you at high risk for cyber attacks. Almost no business owner knows what to look for and questions to ask, and how do you pick the right one. And you can see, you're going to have to go through and update this. But then I talk about the different pricing model: time and materials, break fix, managed services, or vendor supplied. And then we get into managed versus break fix and why managed is better, and the downsides of break fix, which I think you'll appreciate as well. And then what should they cost? Now, I pulled the prices that you see here in the brackets are based on actual industry research. So you can I put it in brackets because obviously if you're in LA or New York City, these fees may be up. And if you're in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, you might want to ratchet them down. But I can tell you, as an industry average, these are legit. Okay. And so in here, I even have I have 5, but it might be 7, it might be 3. Like right here in this paragraph, if you can see this, Brian, right here. Managed IT, most managed IT service firms will quote you a monthly fee based on the number of devices, users, locations they need to maintain. According to the service leadership, which is where we got this data from, their report, the average fee per user ranges from $146.08 per month to $249.73 per month. Now, that is data that you can absolutely share with your clients and prospects, and you can bet the bank on it. I got this from Paul Sissel, who runs service leadership peer groups with best-in-class MSPs. And these are not even best-in-class MSPs. So you can see at the bottom, if you're charging, I think you said 150 a seat, you're only a little bit above the lowest end of the average range for MSPs and what they charge. So then you say to yourself, well, how the heck can somebody charge $30 a seat? Well, then we move on. Here's how they do it. They grossly inadequate compliance and security, or inadequate backup, or carve-outs for on-site after-hours support, non-existent. So you can add to or modify this, based on the competitor that you're dealing with there. But go through this report and really build it out. And then I have, obviously any of these reports I'm giving you, they're never going to be a one size fits all, because your advice should be coming from you, not me. I'm just giving you some ideas, but
this is so true though. I mean, like I literally, I asked them to go look at their server room while I was there. And, sorry, I've got a cough drop in my mouth. Their backup appliance was completely turned off. they weren't even getting data backups. And I pointed that out to him. I said, are you guys not using this anymore? Because they were still under the impression that they were using this company for their backups. The
Right.
appliance was completely turned off. And, so I'm like, you guys need to get this addressed. I took a look at their web domain, I took a look at their email domain on MX Toolbox. The DMARC's not even configured. So like I can diplomatically poke holes in things like that, but
Well, you should. I mean, that's what the assessment is for. The assessment, like as you'll learn as you go through my material, is to point out flaws in what's being done and letting the prospect know this is why this is fit. You got to get it fixed. We use like a red, yellow, green. If you go, and I'll also, up on the dashboard is our MSP sales blueprint. And we show you how to do discovery in that. And that's, again, that's what we're using that for. So we're in really good agreement. I think you're going to really find as you dig into some of the tools and reports and stuff that we're giving you, you're going to get a lot of value because you're going, hey, I know this. I just need a way of articulating it in an elegant way. And that's what I would use that report for. You use your assessment for that. You use what we call wedge questions. Thank you, Randy Schwantz. And that's all in the sales blueprint to point out the flaws and failings of your competitors without naming them specifically.
We actually just signed up with you guys last week. We'll be in Nashville in January. So I can't begin to tell you how excited we are to work with you guys. We're thrilled. So this is all fantastic.
Good. Yeah. Go dig up that report and start, create that report. You put it on your website. It is an opt-in to start building a list online from visitors, but it's also a fantastic piece. And what we do is we teach you to send that in advance of meeting with a new prospect. So they read it and they're kind of prepared. And you can use that and say, when you get on with them, hey, did you get a chance to read that report? It's really important. And use that as like, hey, because here's what I believe you're going to learn this. That's why we call it EDR marketing, educational direct response. I believe an educated prospect is your best prospect. The problem is most prospects don't know how to make an informed or educated decision. They make poor value judgments. They don't know what good is. They're not technical, so they don't know, right? So it's our job, and I'm pointing to me as well as it's your job for your prospect. Like I got to educate people what good marketing is, because if I don't, they're going to just go hire some SEO person or a Facebook person, and they're just going to hop around writing checks after checks, never really landing on anything that works because they don't understand the core fundamentals of what's important. So I got to educate people before they'll buy, and you got to educate people before they buy, so they don't think you're grossly overpriced. When we sell stuff on 1, 2, and 3 year agreements, and we tell people, look, most marketing firms, they're like, hey, here's our product, go buy it, good luck and hang in there. Like this is going to be a building process. It's going to take you a year, 2 years, 3 years. And we're upfront about that because that's honest, that's truthful. And we're obviously adding a lot of customers on. We add over 150 new members every quarter. So because by telling people the truth, by educating them, explaining in a very logical way, this is why you want these things, not a hypey bullshit way, really educating the customer what good is and why we do things the way we are, that builds trust. And if they still don't agree with you, that's fine. Then we're just not for you then.
Yeah. Well, and that strategy, the very same strategy worked for you all. I know Adam's our CEO, he and I both run across you on YouTube. And we got that initial PDF from you guys, and it was describing the state of an example MSP, and it was us to the T. Literally us to the T. And I know that is what sold Adam. He's like, man, this is where we're at. And then you provided all the solutions, like here's what we're going to do to fix all this. And he was sold at that point. So I really do like this idea of pre-education. I'm definitely going to use this report. I really appreciate your insight.
You got it, Brian. I'm looking forward to seeing you in January. Wear a coat. It gets cold here. You know that from being here, right? So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thanks so much,
I keep
Robin.
trying to move the events to like Miami or 30 acres. I got a house in Florida, but Jeff keeps nixing it because he's president of the company and he's in charge of the budgets. And so I need a throttle. So Jeff's kind of like my throttle, but so that's why we have to endure the cold. He's so hurtful.
Hey, you know what though? You should go all out and just do it in Miami. That would be awesome. Or Vegas, someplace like that.
We do, like, we're going to Vegas. I don't know if it's next year. We might be going there twice. We have an event. If we do any December events, which we did last year, we're doing again this year for Producers Club members. I insist they're in Florida. So we're going to Miami. Last year we did near 30A, which is where I have my beach house, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then this year we're going to Miami, so in December. So woo, woo, you know.
I'm jealous.
I know it. All right, Brian. Appreciate you, man.